Hello, this is the Handicapped Hero, Gregory Iron, and you are watching AMBY.
Hey everyone, it's Alicia from AMBY, and I would like to welcome you to my interview with Gregory Iron. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
I'm awesome. How are you doing right now?
Good. Just pro wrestled and hurting, but I'm as good as I can be.
I've never heard someone word it that way, just pro wrestled. I love that.
I just pro wrestled, yeah. I did the act of wrestling, pro wrestled, past tense.
You're part of an open scramble. It was really chaotic and busy in there, so how are you feeling after everything that went down?
A lot was happening all at the same time, and I got here super late. So, so the show started at 8 o'clock. I got to the building at 7:30. Driving from Cleveland 3 hours. Probably should have better prepared myself. And I kind of just threw on the spandex and jumped right in the fray. Yeah, but it went pretty well, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought it was great.
Good.
You totally wouldn't have known that you came just half hour before.
Hey,
so
revealing the secrets here.
There you have it. So apparently you were introduced to wrestling through your grandmother, who absolutely loved it. So it's been in your life for quite some time.
Yeah, she was a big fan of the WWF, and Hulk Hogan was her dude, and she kind of introduced me to it, and I fell in love with Hulk Hogan. And like WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, that was the blasting off point for me, and it was like no
right
turning
away
back.
You saw that?
Yeah, so like my parents were kind of poopy. My mom was into drugs. My dad liked to drink, and so that kind of like they would come to blows and like physical fights and arguments in front of me and my brother. And my grandma lived right next door, and she was very very Christian woman, very into the WWF, and that was like kind of like my escape. You know what I mean? Like she got me into drawing and art and like writing and wrestling, which obviously led to what I do today. Like she was a very heavy influence in my life, and when she was kind of like the thing that sheltered me from all the bad, and I could get lost in these larger life characters with the WWF. So then in 1995 she got bone cancer, and so we'd always order the pay-per-views at her house because I didn't have cable. Last pay-per-view we ordered, I had a choice between WrestleMania 11 or Uncensored 95, and if you know anything about WCW, you know that Uncensored 95 was a notoriously bad pay-per-view, but I thought it looked awesome, so I picked Uncensored 95 because I wanted to see Hulk Hogan and Vader in the strap match, and it was the first pay-per-view that she didn't get to watch with me because she was real bad with the bone cancer. So I don't know, like I remember like bugging her like every day, like, hey, gotta watch this pay-per-view with me. Hulk Hogan retained the WCW title. It's really good, and it wasn't. I thought it was really good, but it wasn't. And April 1st, 1995, coincidentally the same day that I watched my first pay-per-view, April 1st, 1990, she passed away of bone cancer. And so like that was like the first serious death in my life. And I remember my parents telling me that, when someone passes, you can give them something to put in the casket so they'll always remember you. You'll always be with them. So I had recently got a WCW Hulk Hogan rubber figure. So I didn't need my old WWF Hasbro Hulk Hogan with like the flex action, and so I put it in her casket. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, so like I don't know, when she passed, like I feel like I really clinched on to wrestling. Like I thought like when it started to get hotter in like the late 90s, it's just something I'll grow out of, but that apparently didn't happen because here I stand looking like I'm sitting in my underwear, and yeah.
Of all the different things she showed you, because you did mention drawing there, why was it wrestling that stuck with you? Was it just her enthusiasm for it? That was the thing she was most excited about?
like the two things that she was a big fan of was pro wrestling and the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns are terrible and notoriously let people down. If you're from Cleveland, you know this. But pro wrestling, I mean, like the characters, like there's instances where Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, they would come on the losing end, but I feel like at the end of the day, they would come out on top. And so I feel like, I don't know, she just was super passionate about that, and just like her passion was like just kind of, I don't know, just ran through me. It's like one of those things where it's like today I tell people, when they don't understand anything about pro wrestling, because it's weird, right? If you find out like what pro wrestling is, it's like, well, it's not fake, it's predetermined, and we're not really hitting each other, but I hurt in every spot of my body every second of the day. It's strange.
It is.
But I always say to people, and I think of my grandma, it's like, not everybody understands pro wrestling, but everybody understands passion. And when you talk to me, and when you look at me, and you look in my eyes, and you hear me talk about it, you might not understand this weird, wacky pro wrestling thing that I do, but like
you
could see the passion, you know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. I think that goes for anything in life. If you're passionate about something, people see it, and like that, I don't know, that speaks volumes to people, I think.
Well, I initially learned about you because you followed me on Instagram a while back.
Oh, okay.
A ways away. And I was like, I got to check this out. So I watched some of your matches. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then it was afterwards where I found out that you had cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if at first that deterred you or it just kind of lit the fire under you even more.
Well, I mean, I originally didn't even think I could be a wrestler. Like, I mean, I was always obsessed with it, like we talked about. But I never did anything athletic in my life as a kid. I mean, like, I don't know, I would try to play football or baseball with my friends because I'm just in my head, I'm a normal kid, but I was no good at it. And I don't know, I thought to myself, like, since pro wrestling, the act of pro wrestling wasn't something I could do, like, I started to look at, like, things like the announcers, right? So I thought, like, oh, well, maybe I can't wrestle because of my disability with my hand, but maybe I can be a commentator. So I looked at guys like Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, and I thought to myself, for some reason as a kid, I thought, oh, these guys don't have pieces of paper in front of them where they, you know, just read the notes that they took for the events. Like, they have to memorize all of these facts. So, you know, reading all my wrestling magazines and my autobiographies and stuff, I would start memorizing stuff. So now today, for no reason, I could tell you things like, you know, the attendance for WrestleMania 3 was 93,173
Just
people.
sticks with you.
March 29th, 1987 at the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit, Michigan with Hulk Hogan versus Andre in the main event, because that's something you need to know as a commentator. Everybody knows that. You just need to know, be able to rattle that off the top of your head. So I thought I was going to be a commentator, but then I saw Zach Gallen when I was 16 on WWE television wrestling with one leg, and I don't know, when he moonsaulted onto the Big Show, I got the pin, like, and then when I saw him wrestle Vince McMahon, I remember there was a sign in the crowd that said, "Shame on you, Vince," and it had a handicap logo on it. I remember thinking, like, technically Zach is disabled like me. Like, if I were a wrestler, I would wear, like, handicap logos on my gear, and I don't know why Zach doesn't wear handicap logos on his gear, but if I was a wrestler, maybe I would do that. And then I thought, like, you know what, maybe I could be a wrestler. So I started lifting weights. I got my dad to buy me a weight bench after he laughed at me for months and, like, made fun of me about it, which really stuck with me. And I think that kind of drove me to, like, be like, hey, F you, you know, and, like, work harder. And so I started bench pressing, like, 10 pounds, like, uneven bench presses because of my arm. And it just kind of blossomed from there. 16, I started lifting. 18, I found Cleveland All Pro Wrestling Training School in Cleveland, Ohio. Originally started training with JT Lightning, and the school got quickly turned over to Johnny Gargano, a young Johnny Gargano who he was very ahead of his time even back then, but was in no position to be training people. So, like, I think he'll even tell you, like, I think a lot of kids didn't show up to practice, so a lot of the times me and Johnny were kind of teaching each other, and, like, we became, like, fast friends. And, like, you know, today it's like it's a relationship that has blossomed into more of a friendship, like we're brothers. Like, so that's a cool thing that came out of wrestling, you know.
I have a couple of tweets here that definitely caught my eye.
Okay.
That I would love to hear a bit more about.
Sure.
All right, so the first one is, found my first promo pic from 2006 while going through boxes. Okay. Had a great, ready for this one? This was really good. Had a great shell necklace and new metal goatee at 19 years old. So when you reflect back on that, I'm going to pop a photograph up because it's good.
Yikes, not good. Yeah, no, because, like, I don't know, I was like an angsty kid, and, you know, all the popular music at the time, especially in wrestling, was, like, new metal. So, like, oh god, it's so embarrassing. It's like when, like, you know, parents, like, in their like 80s new hair metal bands, it's like, oh, why were you into that? And then it's like now, like, new metal, I feel like for people my age is like, oh,
why?
New metal, like Korn, Slipknot, Disturbed, like, that was all I listened to. It was like all like anything the WWF told me to listen to, I listened to. I mean, obviously I listened to other stuff, but that was like my go-to. So, like, my style was definitely shop at Hot Topic, and today it hasn't got much better. I wear, like, the stupidest t-shirts. They're a little bit more vintage, and it's a little bit more hipsterish, so it's a little, you know, it works better for me now. But, like, back then, in retrospect, like, the little necklace and the goatee just
it was a good combo.
I'm glad it's a very pixelated picture, because I wouldn't want the high def one to be out there floating around.
Do you not listen to those bands anymore? You just scrap them, or
never?
No,
never.
Okay.
I don't listen to that.
You don't want to return back to that.
No. Actually, I listen to, and a lot of the guys that will ride in cars with me will admit to this too. Maybe not publicly, but I'll admit to it publicly. We listen to a lot of Creed.
Okay.
A lot of My Sacrifice. A lot of With Arms Wide Open. A lot of Higher.
There you have it.
It's great. Gets very emotional sometimes on these road trips.
Well, speaking to emotional, you send out a lot of emotional tweets because you sob a lot, like listening to Hinder, Lips of an Angel, sobbing.
Yeah.
So explain these sobbing fits that you have quite often.
I don't know. I'm a weird guy. I have a weird sense of humor, so I just I don't know why. One night I was just thinking about like the worst songs I could think of, and like just imagining like someone crying to him. So it was like Hinder. Like I don't know where I must have heard Hinder, and I was like, what a terrible song. And I was like, somewhere out there in the world, someone is crying to this song, like thinking about some sort of relationship. And I thought, why not tweet about it? So
You're
like
just laughing it up.
So every like almost every night now, I just think of like some random song. Like sometimes it's like a sappy love song, like that Hinder songs. Other times it's just like listening to I don't know, Disturbed, Down with the Sickness, sobbing, because then it's like, wait, what? Why would what happened in your life that you're sobbing to that? So I don't know. I'm just a weirdo. Okay. If I can make people laugh though, like that's what it's all about.
And have you always had that comedic side to you? Because even in the ring, you let the wrestlers, your opponents, make fun of your disability in the ring. So have you always had that side to you?
Yeah, like so when I was a kid, like I got bullied a lot in like elementary school, and then like that carried on into middle school, but I don't know. I found out pretty quickly when I was young that like I don't know, I'm good at like talking crap to people and like making jokes. So I thought to myself like, I don't know, if I can make fun of my disability more than anyone else and better than anyone else, like how can anyone else make fun of it? So I would like poke fun at myself and then like, you know, just poke fun at everything. Like I feel like I have sometimes a very zany, morbid sense of humor. Like just because I don't know, that's just how I've always dealt with stuff. Because it's like I've gone through a lot of pretty serious stuff. Like when I was a kid, I didn't realize how serious it was. But it's like, you know, when you talk about like watching your mom addicted to crack and like getting evicted from houses and like just the situation with my mom and dad together and the bullying in school and just living with a disability. I mean, like, you know, cerebral palsy is technically a neurological disorder. So it's brain damage. So it's like, side note, when I was born, you know, so they always told me that I had a stroke when I was born, which is technically true. It wasn't until I was about 10, because like, you know, I have a lot of hill jacks in my family that weren't really smartened up to the situation. But no one really told me that it was called cerebral palsy. So if people asked me what happened to me, I'd say I had a stroke when I was born. But I didn't know what that meant. So there was a point where my aunt and uncle, who had custody with me for a second when I was like 10, they said, let's take you to the doctor and see if we can get this fixed, right? Not knowing any better. And, I went to the doctor and they examined me, and the doctor said, well, I mean, you technically have brain damage. You have cerebral palsy, so we can't fix your hand. So, you know, unless we figure out a way to rewire the brain and fix that one day, like, you're always going to be like this. And I remember, for me, it was very emotional, because it was like my grandma, who I mentioned was very religious, she would always tell me, you know, when you go to bed at night, just pray that your hand would get better. So I would do that every night. And that was the first day where it was like, I went out in my uncle's truck, and it just hit me like, oh no, I'm always like this. Like, my arm is never going to get better. My fingers are never going to move. And I just started crying. Like, and I think that kind of led me to being like, kind of like, outwardly I was very funny and sarcastic, but inside it's like I had a lot of anger, and I didn't know like where to channel that, you know? So I feel like it was a blessing that I found weightlifting and I got into wrestling, because I've never done drugs. I've drank a couple times as a kid, and my dad found out, and he thought it was cool. And when he found out it was cool, I thought to myself, well, if my dad thinks this is cool, this is definitely not cool, so I'm not going to drink anymore. And so, like, I guess I don't have, like, something to mask the pain like most people. So I feel like my outlet, my way to express myself is through pro wrestling, like the ability to, and this took me some time to figure out, because at first when I got into the business, it was because I have this chip on my shoulder and I want to prove people wrong. But then when I realized like how I inspire people, even though I think I'm just a dude, it's like there's a bigger picture, like, and I have this ability to like tell this story, and it doesn't matter what story it is. It's a story where you could laugh. It's a story where you could cry. I can get you mad. I can get you excited. I can make you happy. I could do one of those things. I could do all those things. Like, it's a powerful thing that, like, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to get high, but I get high off of that, and it's like it's cool that through my weird art form, like I can motivate people. And I just went on a really rambling tangent, and I don't even know if I answered your question.
I love that tangent.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for being so honest and open about it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm an open book. I'm not gonna lie to no one.
Let's see if we'll be open about this next
Oh,
one.
God.
This is the last tweet that I have from you. And it's when my father found out I shaved my hair around my belly button and nipples at age 15 so I could look like a wrestler.
Yep.
He laughed at me.
Yep.
Look at me now, Dad. Don't let anyone ever tell you can't shave your pubes.
Yep.
Follow your heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That goes back to that sense of humor of mine. But that was like a real thing. I remember, so there was a camping trip we went on to West Virginia, and that was around the time where I had asked him to buy me a weight bench. It was the summer of whatever year I was 16, like 2002, 2003. And he was drunk, and he was like talking crap to his friends, like, this guy thinks he's going to lift weights, ha, 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 ha. I'm like, I don't know, like, it just bothered me. I'm like, what a dick, like it's something I actually want to do. But then it was also like, I remember at one point on the trip, I had my shirt off because we're camping, and I had shaved the hair by my belly button. And then I remember he gave me this look up and down. He's like, did you shave your belly? And I was like, no. And he's like, you had hair there, now it's gone. I'm like, okay, yeah. And he's just like, what is wrong with you? And then he was like just making fun of me about that, the whole thing. But I just thought, like, I don't know, wrestlers don't really have hair, so like I don't want to have hair on my belly button. That's weird, So, hey, Dad, look at me now, pal. What's up? He's got all that chest hair, and he ain't getting nothing. He's got nothing going on in his life. So.
Let's going back to music. I'm not going to make you talk about Hinder or any new metal, but I am wondering, who are some people that you are digging as of late? Because we here at AMBY not only interview wrestlers, but also musicians.
Okay, yeah. I'm really into like a lot of like pop punk stuff anymore, and like kind of like some emo stuff. Like I really like State Champs a lot.
Nice.
I really like Issues. Neck Deep.
I've interviewed all of those bands. I spoke with Ben from Neck Deep last week.
That's awesome. yeah, I love those dudes. I'm trying to think. I love Every Time I Die. Like I've liked them since I was younger, and like now it's crazy because like I don't know, I'm like dudes with Andy and what's up,
Ditto.
Andy? Sheetz freak right there, Andy. Me and Andy, like we're trying to get that Sheetz sponsorship so bad. Sheetz over Wawa
There's
any
this
day.
weird obsession with Sheetz, and I gotta understand it. Everyone loves it.
Why don't you understand it? Have you
I've
never?
never.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand it.
This interview's over. What? Have you had Wawa?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so here's the great debate. So East Coast, it's Wawa. They have a lot of Wawa. So what Wawa is, it's a gas station, but they have like these little computers where you just like get this made to order food, right? But it's not that great when you have Sheetz in the Midwest, which also has it's the gas station, but it has the made to order food, and it is superb. Okay, on cheat day, I like to get some donuts, but also they make this burrito, double steak, double egg, tater tots burrito, and it is horrible for you, but it is delicious.
Sounds damn good.
Yeah, and so the debate is whether or not Wawa is better than Sheetz, but the correct answer is it is not. Sheetz is the almighty. Okay. Wawa is a joke of it's a low-rung gas station. That's all it is, and they try to serve food, but they're just not good at it. And that's what it comes down to. Sheetz, I love you.
Just settled the whole debate for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess these are both American companies because I'm from Toronto, so that maybe makes sense why.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't tried them, so you can stay for the interview just a little longer.
All right.
Got one last question for you.
Okay.
All right. To wrap things up, is there anything you would like to say to all the fans watching?
I'm sorry that I've put you through nearly 12 years of my professional wrestling matches, and if I've turned away any fans because of my poor performances, I'm sorry. But for the rest of you that are actually fans, I feel really good that I've tricked you into thinking that I am athletic when I am not. I have figured out how to accentuate my positives and really hide my negatives as a performer. But at the end of the day, if you are inspired by what I do, whether it's tricking you or trying to be a pro wrestler when I'm not really good at it, I thank you guys, and I hope that at the very least, I make you laugh, I make you smile. I don't know. I'm a weird guy.
It's beautifully put. You had it with me, laughed, smiled, so.
There you go.
Well
See?
done.
Hey, that was all worth it. I can retire now.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And remember, to everybody viewing, you can visit us at musicblogget.com for all exclusive interviews, features, videos, and so much more. See ya.